If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. I know what I'm
I ain't finna tell you how I got away with this shit.
If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I ain't regular out. You's a regular out. Took that bitch back. And she done fed you out. Look how you living out. You look scary out. Can't fuck that bitch right. Cause she be getting nailed out. You won't forgive her, ain't it? You wanna love it, don't you? Just know that love ain't for you. It's for the world, homie. I got some real homies. We don't pretend, homie. HUPK, 1 West, we kicking field goals. Let that bitch lead, ho. She got them D's, though. With a little steak and ass pussy, she be going beast mode. She HIV, ho. You dirty ass skeet, ho. Don't get that shit up out your chest, bitch. Say what you gonna do now, what you gonna say now, what you gonna do to me? It is UPK, I'm shot too deep, it's better Google me. I put these girls all in my training camp like I relieve. I say what I do and I do what I say, bitch, what the fuck you mean? If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a priest, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. I get paper, bro. Got my standards up. You a munchkin out. Catching these out. Check my favorite out. I'm a player out. These niggas top block. Take your lead out. You shouldn't be worried about these broke ass bitches. And don't compare yourself to simp ass niggas. Had to shine a lot of these desperate ass women. Cause they be tripping hard, acting like they different. But a bit be basic, bit be horn and bit be naked. Faking, stankin', ashamed, dirty, mouth bit be faking. I don't get too fucks about you. I wouldn't have put no baby in. Bit be saying they got that paper, look, they let me itch. Done caught the penalty, hit my energy, got me feeling me. Ice hitting on these diamond teeth, that's into me. And I'm getting right and I'm stacking up and I'm getting to it. And these niggas hate, but they can't touch cause I'm bulletproof. If I'm more right, that's good business. She look good, but hang with dumb bitches. Tell her I'm way too fly for one sister. And if she leave a piece, I won't miss her. Won't put a ring around it. Oh, no. Bitches for the street like basketball goals. I always knew she'd let that lane hit her. Won't get a cent from me, I ain't simple. Bitch, now I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. No, I ain't gonna work it out. I ain't regular out. You a civilian out. Nah, failure out. I ain't gonna work it out. Cause I ain't regular out. Goddamn, love them AIDS, damn bitch, she love, nigga. Ain't no taking nothing back.
Check, check, check. You listening live? Check, 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 check. It's perfect. All right, so we're gonna run that back real quick. We're here live at the headquarters of the ISUPK, and we just gave a big round of applause and a big good riddance to Pope Francis, who the Lord got up out the paint today, and it's time for a new pope. And of course, they're going to continue the same traditions, but the Catholic Church has been covering up an insane level of child abuse for centuries, who knows how long. And it's been just swept under the rug. We all know the stories about, priests being transferred from one church to another, from one state to another, and they just keep doing the same things, and they just keep confusing the world.
There's no RICO case in the Catholic Church.
Right. This is organized crime. This is an organized crime syndicate. When you take somebody who should be facing decades and decades and decades in prison and move them to another state to get away from the heat, that's organized crime. You do that over and over and over. And now that Pope Francis is history, we're going to treat it as such, and we'll go into some of the ways that the Catholic Church, under his leadership and under every previous leadership, has covered up terrible sexual abuse while presenting themselves to be men of the Lord, while completely confusing the scriptures and misleading millions of our people throughout the world, especially northern tribes in the Caribbean, Central and South America, and especially the tribe of Levi, because France was big under the Catholic Church. And so we're gonna put a big target square on the backs of the Catholic Church for this history class, because they don't get enough attention sometimes. In New York, we kind of forget about them sometimes, really, in America in general, right? But they need a big target on them.
Salaki. You know what I'm saying? What the priest is saying is so hard, hard body one west, that, our oppressor. You know what I'm saying? We started bowing down, the Pope Francis. He became God of this earth. And our people love him. We celebrate, Easter because he said so. Blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians, we have bended the knee to our slave master. That's what we did. Bob Gashar, you got Salaki, and I'm going to pass the class over to priest and officer Shaw. Ashayala.
Most High Christ. What scripture are you about to bring out?
Deuteronomy chapter 32, verse 7.
Let's go. Deuteronomy 32 and verse 7. Let's see what we got over here. Remember the days of old. Consider the years of many generations. Ask thy father, and he will show thee. Thy elders, and they will tell thee. And that's what we were supposed to do. We were supposed to follow the paths that have been passed down to us through the ages. We were supposed to ask our fathers. Instead, we learn this Bible from the white man. And that's backwards. That's perversion. And that's why they've been able to say the Catholic Church, more than any other Christian denomination, just has no shame in just saying it doesn't even matter what the Bible says. It matters what the Pope says. And they've been getting away with this for over 1,000 years. Just saying, all right, it's cool. We got the Bible, but whatever the Pope says takes precedent. And that's why they built up the office of a man so high that these men can get away with the most devious and heinous of acts. And so let's see. Look, there's an article from today, because now that he's about to be put in the ground, they're gonna go over his legacy. right? Now it's time to talk about his legacy, because the Bible talks about the importance of a good name in the day of one's death over the day of one's birth. And the reason for that is the day at your birth, you haven't done anything. That's why we don't celebrate birthdays in our culture. You've done nothing to be celebrated. You were just born. All right, what does that mean? You were born. But now you have a chance to live a life of meaning. You have a chance to live a life serving the Lord, and in a way that people will love you when you pass. They'll speak so highly of you. You'll have a crowd of people at your burial missing you, mourning you. That's the mark of a life, is your name that you've built up, the reputation that you put out there, the people that you meant something to. And on the flip side of that, if you're Pope Francis, you've got some things to deal with when you die. They're talking about the negative side of the name that you've built up. So now we're just going to skim through this article. In December of 2014, Pope Francis established an international panel of experts to recommend how to protect minors, but the commission was mired in controversy from the start. And it goes to talk about members who were representing abuse survivors resigning and telling everyone that the lack of cooperation from Vatican officials was shameful. So this was a farce, this commission that the Pope put together. This was for image. This was for everyone to say, oh, look, Pope Francis is coming in and he's going to do something about it. He's going to clean it up. Meanwhile, the abuse representatives, the victims and survivors on the panel had to walk away and say, we had no cooperation from the Vatican. This wasn't a serious thing. Nobody was actually trying to do anything. So fast forward.
I'm sorry, because I pulled this a few years ago when Pope Francis visited Canada to apologize to the Native American Indians in Canada. And look what they have been doing.
Look at this.
They didn't call them out on, you know what I'm saying, the atrocities, but they did, and they found the bones.
Right.
Remember, the Catholic Church brought the Native population that lived in Canada to that school.
Right.
And they found bones of those children, you know what I mean, that went to those schools that got unalived, so on and so forth. But our people have been destroyed. We got a picture right here. We have bended the knee.
That's crazy. That's
we
crazy.
love our slavery. We love our slavery. This is what happened. This is the Pope Francis right here.
Yeah.
Apologizing. He didn't apologize because he didn't get all those monies.
Yeah.
He didn't get no money.
What does that apology mean?
They still broke in Canada.
Exactly.
The Native American, the Canada, the native population of Canada, Native American, that's what they are.
Yeah.
The Redskins.
Yeah, our brothers, the Gadites.
They still drunk. They still depressed. And they still unaliving themselves. And guess what? And they the number one nation of people that's getting kidnapped. Because nobody
cares. Nobody's looking for it. They're disappearing every day because nobody cares. Because our people are oppressed everywhere we are. And you know what's crazy when brothers, Judites try to look over at the Gadites and say, oh, they got government money, they got this and that. They don't go visit one of these reservations. They have nothing. They have abject poverty. They have nothing but alcohol. They did recently, I forget if it was one of those Edomites that came here and interviewed us. I think it was Tommy G maybe, that went out to the worst reservation in America and did a documentary, spent a few days with them. And it was crazy. Their whole economy was just going to a different trailer to buy bootleg liquor. And, spend a few dollars on some watered down, whatever somebody concocted in their bathtub to get drunk and get to the next day where they can get drunk some more. They had no ambition, no nothing, because they had nothing in front of them. It's the ghetto. It's the same as the hood. Sir.
Oh, my apologies, cutting you off.
Not at all.
Cutting you off, because I did a class on this last year. Our oppressor is such a disgusting bastard. Going to the reservation, everybody knows an epidemic that alcohol alcoholism is going on in the community. So it's against the law to have a liquor store on the reservation. It's against the law.
Right.
You know what I mean? They're not allowed to drink alcohol because so many people be unalive. So many people is doing unaliving for alcohol.
Right.
You know what I mean? This is that like the crack era in Harlem, in Yonkers, in Brooklyn. This is like the crack era. So it's like, oh, you know what? It's against the law to sell crack. It's against the law to sell alcohol.
Mm-hmm.
You know what Joe Biden and Donald Trump people did?
They do.
They set up a liquor store
Right across
2 miles away from the borderline of the reservation.
Yep.
2 miles.
Yep.
And knowing that it's against their law,
right?
Because what's going on right now? What's going on? They don't have no empathy for other nations, but they have empathy for their nation.
At all. And you know what's crazy? Because they covered that in the same documentary, and they were talking about how many accidents there are up and down that road. Because everybody's traveling.
And kidnapped.
The only reason they're going down that road is to get to the liquor store and get back. So they're all drinking on the way, and it's just a road of drunk driving and accidents. And it's only there to serve the reservation. It's only there to get around the laws where they can't sell liquor on the reservation. So either they're going to the trailer to buy the bootleg liquor, or they're driving 2 miles down the road, risking life and limb to go to the liquor store. And it's the same.
But it's like, you would think Donald Trump would say, yo, you know what? These people have a disease. Let's not tempt these people so they can get over their disease. The same way that, you know what I mean, the opium crisis.
Yeah. No, by all means. And that's what you would expect if this wasn't by design. But of course, this is exactly how they want it. This is exactly how it's supposed to be. And so we're going to keep running through this because we're going to see exactly what this nice, kind, holy Pope Francis, who went around the world apologizing to people and washing people's feet, we're going to see what type of leadership he actually gave. And so let's see this. Now, fast forward to 2018. And Pope Francis took a trip to Chile in January 2018, where another scandal had caused outrage. And so many times in Latin America, these were, Edomite Catholics coming over from Europe and abusing everybody in sight with absolute impunity. And he's a descendant of those. Let's not forget, because they tried to push. I remember when he first became Pope, and they tried to push him as the first Pope from Latin America. He's just an Italian man named Bergoglio, part of the wave of Italian immigration to Argentina, and that's it. He's just another Edomite. So let's keep now. We're going to tie this all in together because in the title of the class, I said, and Easter is just for getting freaky, because that's what I'm to out the water. And Easter is just for getting freaky. The Pope is lied nonstop, and Easter is just for getting freaky. And the Pope and the Catholic Church has lied and covered up the terrible sexual abuse, but they've also lied and covered the scriptures. They've lied and covered up the scriptures. And we just celebrated yesterday the closing of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is biblical. And that began with the Passover, which is biblical, which is our high holy day. That's scriptural, and that was passed down from the ancient Israelites, from our forefathers. We're supposed to observe the Passover. And the Passover dovetails into the Feast of Unleavened Bread. And you spend that week not eating anything with leavening, putting leavening out of your home. Well, what the Catholic Church tells you to celebrate is Easter and something they call Pentecost. And so we're going to examine in the scriptures whether that's actually biblical. We're going to find out what Christ celebrated, what the apostles celebrated, because they celebrated the same things that their forefathers celebrated. So now, if you ask somebody, is Easter in the Bible? They can say, yeah. They can say it's in the King James Version. It says Easter. in Acts 12 and 4. So we're going to read Acts 12 and 4. And when he had apprehended him, he put him in prison and delivered him to 4 quaternions of soldiers to keep him, intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So intending after Easter to bring him forth to the people. So now all you have to do is go into the Greek. I like to keep it side by side on my Blue Letter app. All you got to do is go into the Greek and find out what this word Easter is. And when you do it, and I'm going to break it down so y'all can follow along. Anybody that's watching this, you can go to Strong's G3957. That's the word that was translated into Easter. And if you go look at that in the Greek, it is Pascha. I'll even let them tell you.
G3957. Pascha. Pascha.
That is the Passover. Pesach in the Hebrew is Passover. And that's all that is. It was talking about the Passover because that is what culturally throughout the Bible, the most important high holy day and the biggest celebration. So now, after you finish the Feast of Unleavened Bread, which is 8 days of putting away leaven out of your dwellings, the next high holy day is the Feast of the Weeks, which you start counting 50 days. So let's keep searching through the New Testament. Now we're in the history of the apostles. So let's keep searching through the history of the apostles to find out what they celebrated. Because the Catholic Church would love for you to believe that in the New Testament, everything was changed, everything was flipped. Christ celebrated, did away with all of the high holy days and all of the laws, even though that contradicts everything in the Bible. Certainly, if you go into Matthew, one scripture that everybody in the sound of my voice should know is Matthew 5:17, which says, "Think not that I am come to destroy the law or the prophets. I am not come to destroy, but to fulfill." These are the words of Christ. Verse 18, "For verily I say unto you, till heaven and earth pass, one jot or one tittle," which is in the Greek, that's like the dot of an I or the cross of a T, the smallest marks, "shall in no wise pass from the law till all be fulfilled. Whosoever therefore shall break one of these least commandments and shall teach men so, he shall be called the least in the kingdom of heaven. But whosoever shall do and teach them, the same shall be called great in the kingdom of heaven." And so these are Christ's words. This is Christ's teachings. So then when you end up with the Catholic Church, when you end up with a church telling you that you can eat anything, you can do anything, you can celebrate pagan festivals, you can have sex with anybody, that's another thing Pope Francis was known for, was for blessing LGBTQ couples. They're pushing every type of deviance through the earth and saying that it's biblical, saying that you can just change things because Jesus died and God is merciful. Jesus died so that we can stop sinning. And God is merciful when you stop sinning. And that's biblical. And we'll keep going through it. These are some basic scriptures, but this is a basic subject, because if you haven't figured out yet that the Catholic Church is demonic, then you need some basic things. So if you go to 1 John chapter 5 and verse 2, "By this we know that we love the children of God, when we love God and keep his commandments. For this is the love of God, that we keep his commandments, and his commandments are not grievous." Meaning the laws of the Most High are not supposed to be a difficult, terrible thing that's miserable for you to keep. Just stop eating pork. There's so much other food on the shelf in the supermarket. Just get some beef. That beef bacon is excellent. Get some turkey. It's not supposed to be grievous for you to keep the laws of the Most High. Stop celebrating Christmas. That shouldn't be grievous. Stop celebrating these pagan holidays that are just about commercialism, that really are just about contention and strife in your family. Y'all just fight at the Thanksgiving dinner table. Y'all just fight over Easter, fight over Christmas. Y'all throw a cookout for Labor Day and then fight and shoot up the cookout. They just a couple of weeks ago, they had the Easter egg hunt. I think it was in Mississippi somewhere. And they had the Easter egg hunt. They shot up the Easter egg hunt, killed the deacon. This is what happens at these holidays because there's no substance to it. So you're just gathering the community without anybody changing. You're just bringing together the same hoes and drug dealers and whoever else that everybody out there is. When if you bring brothers and sisters to these scriptures, you're supposed to change to conform to this. You become a new person, a new man and a new woman. When you don't do that, you just have an Easter egg hunt that gets shot up. And so let's keep running through this. We were talking about the Feast of Unleavened Bread. So we covered Passover in the book of Acts. Now let's see, we have the Feast of Unleavened Bread occurs 4 times from Acts on out. Because if I show Christ celebrating it in Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John, they're just going to turn around and say, well, all that changed after Christ. All right, let's see what Paul and the apostles did. If you go to Acts 12:3, let's see what we got. Now, about that time, Herod the king stretched forth his hands to vex certain of the church. And he killed James, the brother of John, with the sword. And because he saw it pleased the Jews, because remember, Herod was a bastard. Right? Herod had an Edomite father, but because he had an Israelite mother, he thought that he could have some type of authority over our people. And so when he did this, and he saw that the Pharisees and the Sadducees and the people that were persecuting Christ were pleased by it, he then took Peter after that. And it mentions then were the days of unleavened bread. So we're going to see in context how these things are mentioned. Because this is the point being, this is the culture. This is who these scriptures were written by, written to, and written for. So when you go to Acts 20:6, it says, and we sailed away from Philippi after the days of unleavened bread, and came unto them to Troas in 5 days, where we abode 7 days. And upon the first day of the week, when the disciples came together to break bread, Paul preached unto them, ready to depart on the morrow, and continued his speech until midnight. And this is the funny thing that went right into one of the verses that they would use to try and say that the disciples came together on the first day of the week. So now we go to church on Sunday. But all it said is, like, if I say me and my homies chilled out on the first day of the week, did I just like institute a new law, a new tradition? No, we just chilled and ate on the first day of the week. This is the book of Acts, and it says it in the title. This is just a book documenting all the acts of the apostles. So if it mentioned they got together on the first day of the week and broke bread and ate, that's not saying stop having the Sabbath and do church on Sundays. It's just saying what they did.
Oh, if I may, that's what we're doing right now.
Yeah.
That's what we're doing right now.
Exactly.
So, you know what I mean? So, it's letting you know, these are brothers that love the scriptures and want to be righteous under the Most High God.
Exactly.
You know, underneath Christ. This is just what it is. But I need y'all to make a note, because Christians going to pull this scripture. Say this is the reason why we celebrate Easter. This is the reason why we celebrate. Why we go to church on Sundays.
Yeah, and it's
This is
such
what they're gonna pull.
tenuous.
This is what they're gonna.
And it's such tenuous scriptures. Like you see, you gotta stretch it. You gotta really stretch that for that to mean stop having the Sabbath and start doing church on Sunday. But that's all they got. And it was never about the scripture, and the proof of that is all the way down to this day. Pope Francis being a deviant, Pope Francis covering up for deviants, pushing deviants, and now he's finally history, and we can talk about him like history until they install the next pope that'll do more of the same, probably be even worse, because they said Pope Francis was too nice. He only covered up for a few of the sexual abuser priests. He was too nice.
That's that slave master. You know, he's a good slave master. You know what I mean? He gives watermelon on Sundays. You know what I mean? When they go into church, that's a good slave master. You know, and we talk the same way. All white folks is not bad white folks. They're good white. You know what I mean? They're good slave masters. You know what I mean? He helped me get my job. He helped me become a superstar.
Yeah,
this is how we talk.
He apologized to the Native Americans.
He didn't give him no money.
He apologized.
Wait.
He kneeled down and apologized. He probably washed their feet too.
Huh?
He probably washed their feet. He goes around and does that. He washed. They got mad because there's a picture of him washing a black man's feet. But now, what does that do for us in Harlem? What does that do for niggas in Harlem?
They got all the monies, you know that.
Yeah.
They have too much money to stop Harlem from being Harlem. You see what I mean? They got money. All that money that they stole, if they give it back, they don't want to give it back. Wow.
No, they ain't giving nothing back. And so we're going to keep going through these scriptures to show that not only was Pope Francis a deviant, but he was the leader of a church that preaches against the scriptures and teaches against the Bible. And so we were going through the mentions of the Feast of Unleavened Bread. Let's see, because there's still more. Well, yeah, so I'm focused on the New Testament so that I can show that Christ did not change this. Because that's what they love to say. They don't care what's in the Old Testament, because everything changed under Christ, right? According to them. So if you go to 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, which we break down every year around this time of year, you're gonna have to explain to me why this was used to teach. So 1 Corinthians 5 and 7, purge out therefore the old leaven. I'll start at 6. Your glorying is not good. Know ye not that a little leaven leaveneth the whole lump? Purge out therefore the old leaven, that ye may be a new lump, as ye are unleavened. For even Christ, our Passover, is sacrificed for us. Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth. This is a Passover breakdown. This is Paul probably around the time of Passover teaching. But to let the Christian church tell it, to let the Catholic Church tell it, which is just, of course, the Christian church is just rebellious Catholics. Every Presbyterian, every Episcopalian, every Holy Ghost gyrator, they're all just rebellious Catholics. They're all just teaching Catholic doctrine with a little spin on it. Because that's where you got the Trinity from. That's where you got Sunday from. That's where you got the Virgin Mary from, who never had sex, who was impregnated by God. That's where you got all these doctrines from. It's the Catholic Church. And we're not going to let y'all forget it. So let's see what else we can go into on this. So if you go into the Catholic Church sexual abuse cases, we're going to find some stats. Go ahead, sir.
Oh, it's a lot. And if I may, and this is what the ISUPK have pulled this scripture on me, because one day I said, I'm a vegan, can I still come to the Passover? And they quote the scripture right on here, on me.
Okay.
And I have to go in my mind and say, if I'm an unleavened, you see what I'm saying? And I come here, or I'm going to divide the brothers, or I'm just going to come in there, or I'm going to realize, like, yo, I've been a disgusting bastard all my life. Let me go, you know what I'm saying? Let me see righteousness for what it is. Or I'm unleavened. Because a lot of brothers and sisters don't realize they unleavened and think they know everything. They know more than, you know what I mean, the people that they're going to enjoy, you know what I'm saying, enjoy a feast with.
Yeah.
I came over there humble. You know what I mean? I came to the feast day humble. If even you want to be an unleavened and talking about, oh, I'm a vegan, I don't eat meat.
Yeah.
Oh, I don't do that. I don't do this.
Exactly.
No, it's doing what the Lord said for you to do.
That's it.
We don't give a hell about what you talk, what you thinking that you're supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
Do what the Lord said you were supposed to do. I didn't come, you know what I mean? I ain't take offense to this because I had to check myself. I'm like, hold up. The Lord said, you know what I mean? You have to eat, you know what I mean? You have to eat lamb, and you're a vegan, you know what I mean? Eat the goddamn lamb because the Lord said it.
Right.
Eat a little portion, but nevertheless, you still ate the lamb. If you get sick, we understand that. We go accordingly. But the Lord said, eat the goddamn.
And that's it.
Lamb.
That's it.
So I'm going to feel offended. If you know what I mean, if a brother call me unleavened, like, yo, man, you could be an unleavened brother that bring in strife to the brotherhood.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's right.
No, but that's it. And that's a reminder that our culture and our laws are not just you shall not, but there are laws that you must do actively, that you have to do things. We have to be one nation, one body. We got to be moving in a way that cares about each other. This white man's culture just cares about what you do. As long as you're not harming nobody outwardly, out in the open, they don't care what you do. They want to be able to do whatever they want in the privacy of their home. They want to be able to be whatever deviant they want, as long as they're not hurting nobody. They want to be whatever weirdo, whatever little isolationist, hermit, whatever freak, because it's just an individualist society. Our culture from these scriptures is not individualist. Our culture is about each other. So it's about what you must do, not only what you must not do. But when we go back into these numbers, look, I just pulled up, and I encourage everybody to go deeper into the history of the Catholic Church and the sex abuse scandal. But when you just run the basics on Wikipedia, you find out the majority of the victims throughout the last 2 centuries have been between the ages of 11 and 14, and mostly boys. And so this has been 2 centuries of an organized crime ring of that. Now, from 2001 to 2010, they examined cases involving 3,000 priests. Those are just the ones that they examined, that they took a look at. Those are the ones that didn't get swept under the rug good enough. That's 3,000 11 to 14-year-old boys being abused and violated by someone they were told to look up to as a leader, as a father figure, as a spiritual guide. And these things were swept under the rug under the leadership of every pope down from Francis, Benedict, John Paul, whoever they've had over the last 200 years has been aware of these things and has covered them up. And that facts. And this is something that we're not going to stop talking about, because this is mostly in our neighborhoods, in our countries, where these 12 tribes are at. This happens to little white kids too. But the place where it really gets swept under the rug the most is throughout all these Latin American countries.
That's right.
Where they send these white priests, just like Jorge Bergoglio, Pope Francis, an Italian man, they send these European priests all throughout Latin America, and they think they can abuse everyone, and no one will ever know, no one will ever challenge them, no one will ever care.
But I want to back up something you were saying. Just not too long ago, they found a truck full of children. You see what I'm saying? Right there in Mexico, full of dead children. They chopped up their bodies and everything. And a woman that they found that reported it, they found her the next day, chopped her body up as well. You can look that up on YouTube as well.
And I believe it, and I encourage everybody to look that up, because these are the things that they hope will never make it to the mainstream media. Well, they know it'll never make it to the mainstream media, but they hope that it'll never make it to any of our radars, that we won't know about these things. But we're going to find out about these things, and we're going to bring them out. And we're going to teach our people to get the hell away from the Catholic Church, to get away from the Christian church, to get away from the white man, and to come back to these scriptures and to come back to our culture. And that's why it's so important. You know, people get mad at us when we say that the ISUPK is the home of the truth and we don't affiliate. But that's why it's so important to keep this thing pure. It's so important to be on one body and one accord and grow stronger and stronger with each other, with brotherhood, with strong leadership like we have. This is our weapon against the so-called white man in this culture that he's been pushing on our communities. The theme through all this is that it happens because we have vulnerable communities. It happens because we're not together in strength. That's another scripture we go to all the time, where how can one bind a strong man except, let me pull that up real quick. That's in Matthew as well. Sorry, my joint is lagging a little bit.
When you get it, just pull it by myself.
Yeah, if you got it, you can read it. It's Matthew 12:29. Or else, how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house? And that's the key to what's been going on in the so-called Black and Hispanic community, to the way that the white man has attacked our community. That's why you see this constant attack on the man in the media, in music, in the schools, in everything. This attack on masculinity, this tearing down of the family structure. They can take it. It doesn't affect the white man to have a weak, effeminate man. They've had that for years, and they still have their marriages and their families and whatever. But us, it breaks down the protection that we have, the strength that we have to withstand the subtleties of this man's ideologies and teachings and doctrines coming into our community. And it sure as hell. Oh man, there was a clip that General Hyman was using in class not too long ago, where they did a psychological interview with a child molester, dude who was doing time, in prison for molesting countless kids. And they asked him what he looked for when he was looking for victims. And he said that he looked for single mothers or weak fathers, because that's the way that he knew that he would be able to get into those kids' lives and there would be no resistance, and that he could just get into the mother's life and do what he wanted. And that's the importance of tearing down the family structure from the man on down. And that's why it's so important to recognize it and fight back and push back everywhere we see that in the media.
Oh, so like, which is dropping this so heavy, because I told my niece and her husband this, because I help my niece to drop off the kids, so on and so forth. And this is what we teach in the ISUPK. If you have, if you have any cousins, any nieces or any nephews, and when they ask you, when they ask you favors to drop off their kids to the school, you go up in the school like you own the goddamn school. You take your, you take your niece or your nephew, and you let that teacher, you let the staff know that you're different.
Right.
You let the staff know, like, this is the child that I cannot mess with.
Absolutely.
Because this man gonna come back there. You know what I mean? And it's going to be a problem. So I'm not going to choose that child. It's going to be a problem. Not only are you going to go after the person who did the work, he's going to go after me.
Yep.
That's what's going on because everybody is separate. You know what I mean? So you make it a God thing, you know what I mean? You make it how we teach women, you know what I mean, who's being violated, to scratch eyes, to scream out. We don't teach women to sit back and take the trauma while somebody violating her. We don't do that. You scream out. You know what I mean? You let the Most High God know that you ain't a goddamn boy. You scratch his goddamn eyes out.
Right.
To let him know this is a disgusting bastard.
Right.
And that's what this is how you present your sons and daughters and your cousins to the school. You is not going to mess with this person, but you're going to be respectful. But your mannerism, you know what I mean? Your mannerism, you know what I mean? We're presented. Trust me, I know. Because when they see me, when I bring my niece or my nephew to school, they know what's going to happen. They know if I mess with this person's, you know what I'm saying, relative, it's going to be a problem. It's going to be a problem. But I'm just But you know what I mean? But my mannerism is very strong. They know big.
Yeah.
They know this little girl is not a goddamn big. They know this little boy is not a goddamn big. You know what I mean? They know this sister. Oh man, Papa Kishar, if I may at the pass. Everybody don't know that.
Oh yeah. Please tell that story. Yeah. Real quick before. Just what's so heavy about what you're saying is they're gonna know that child has protection, and when you say that, keep it respectful. Crashing out is not protection, right? And they know that. Niggas just crash outs and come up there. Oh, I'm gonna shoot up the school. I'm gonna do this snap. They have control over him in a different way because you don't have control over your emotions, and they're just ready to call the cops on you and get you hauled off. But having a strong man come up there and just let him know, look, if anything goes wrong, we're gonna handle it.
No, I can do it like that. I was like, where do I gotta sign my name at? The tone.
That's what I'm saying. The vibe, the demeanor.
You know what I mean? You tell your niece or nephew, yo, you know what I mean? Make sure you put your jacket, put it in the cubby over here.
Exactly.
That's your cubby. You put it in right here and make sure nobody touch your cup. They hear this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? This was going on. Make sure you be nice to your friends, in here. But it's the presence that you show the people, and they're gonna look at you. Exactly. Oh, they're gonna look at you, and they go, you know what I mean? And the women, oh man, the women. How the women? Women wanna see you. The men, they're gonna look at you like, oh. Oh. Yeah, I'll be over here at 3 o'clock to pick her up.
Mm-hmm.
She'll be right in center. Right in center. You know what I mean? Ready to rock and roll. They're going to give her distance. Just in case. You know what I mean? They don't want no mistakes happen. Oh, how you doing, Mr. King? Everything, you know what I mean? Everything. They try to be your friend. Mm-hmm. I just met you this week. Mm-hmm. I don't know who the hell you are. But thank you. I appreciate that. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? I'll see you tomorrow. Take it easy.
Yeah.
This is the presence of ISUPK where we teach our brothers and sisters, man. Not you know what I mean? We teach them how to be Yasha Allah. That's what we do. We teach you to be God's chosen people. If you touch God's chosen people, you know what I mean? It's not going to be a good one.
Yeah.
I respect what you were just saying, you know, because when we read the book of Proverbs, they let us know not to be raging men, you know what I'm saying, flashing out for just anything. But we know for a fact the Most High God in the book of Exodus is a man of war.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So he didn't make us to be no wimps and all this shit. He made us to be sturdy men. You see what I'm saying? To stand up for what's right. You know, when it's time for stand up. But other than that, we don't go We humble and man.
Exactly. Exactly. But you was about to break down that story.
Huh? Oh, you want me to break down the story?
Go ahead.
Oh man, maybe I won't. Maybe well, I brought it up.
If you want me to summarize?
Yeah. I'm going to say. Let me summarize. You know what I mean? Piece of unleavened bread. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? We celebrating God's holiday, not our holiday. God's holiday. A piece of unleavened bread. ISUPK, do not play that. We have a 6-month rule to a year rule. And that do not go outside. But people in the world don't know what's going on because they never heard righteous people talk.
And if I could, just explain if anybody doesn't know that 6-month rule, that means that's the time that you take to get to know a sister or brother before y'all decide to marry each other. That's wise and prudent amount of time to take to know somebody, to at least get to know them before you make any other decision.
Yeah, and you ask the men above her, you know what I mean, for the hand. But it was somebody who didn't know, that was working for, you know what I mean, that was working for security, and think they can run game on one of our sisters. Why a brother there? Oh, the brother's me. The sister is pregnant. Obviously, she's married.
There's something wrong with you niggas out there, man. There's something wrong with y'all.
Obviously, she's married, which means give up 50 feet. That's what it means, give up 50 feet. You understand what I'm saying? I don't care that you, oh, no, it wasn't like that. No, you have the illusion of you doing something you might as well not do. Be very formal. And that's what we teach, formal. That's a nice camera you have. She's taking pictures of the brothers, the sisters, you know what I mean? Because she's a photographer. Take pictures, boom, 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 you know what I mean? Everybody. I'm talking to the sister, she took pictures of me, hey, what's going on? This guy think he could cut in and talk to my sister. Not acknowledge me. He's talking to my sister. All due respect. And I said to the brother, all due respect, brother. But this is my sister right here. When you see it, you know what I mean? So, you know what I mean? When you see us, it's obvious that we related. Obvious, look at her. Look at me. Obvious, we one family. Obviously.
There's 1,000 of us walking around that same area.
Obviously, right? We have to, and always, you know what I'm saying? You know, I became always speaking in general. So we have to learn when we want to talk to our sister, we have to talk to a man that's next to the sister. Because we're going to assume that's the man above her. So I'm going to show that man respect to show respect to that sister. That's what we do in our. I don't know what type of family that you do, but that's our thing.
Right.
If you want to talk to that sister, you have to talk to me.
Right.
Do we understand about that? Sure. Or due respect. You know what I mean? Yes, sir.
Mm-hmm.
You know what happened after that?
Mm-hmm.
Because I knew the game. I knew that was his playoff one. That's a good game.
Yeah.
That was a playoff one.
We all know that. We all know that.
That was a playoff one. I know it. I know it. You know what the sister did? She gave me a hug. I'm like, yo, this is, you already know, you've been in the game for a minute, but she gave me a hug or whatever. But this is what we do. And this is what we're going to teach the blacks and Hispanics, the so-called blacks and Hispanics and the American Indians, you know what I mean? That type of brotherhood and sisterhood. I'm telling that we could be a nation just like this. And would shun anybody who want to disrespect our sisters or our brothers. Because in Deuteronomy 23:17, there should not be no whores of the daughter of Israel.
That's right.
Nor sodomites.
That's
right.
No, you know what I mean? You're not going to disrespect, you know what I'm saying, a daughter of God. We ain't going to disrespect her. Because she's a daughter of God. She's your nation.
In that story?
You should get shunned and laughed at. You know what I'm saying? To teach you that goddamn lesson that this is not allowed anymore. And he knows that's not allowed anymore.
Exactly. No, and that story is the reverse of buying the strong man. That's what happens when you have a community, a nation of strong men surrounding your sisters. Our sisters are protected. Our sisters, not only are our sisters not humoring or entertaining that nonsense, but in the world, even a woman who doesn't want to be approached like that just feels pressured, feels, niggas act funny and, press up on her. Women feel like they got to give their number or they don't know what he's going to do. Our women don't have to worry like that. Our sisters are protected in our nation. In the ISUPK, our sisters can walk freely and feel safe.
Oh, so like same thing with you saw Erica Badu. Those are sisters in the world.
Mm-hmm.
That don't apply to a sister that's in ISUPK.
Right.
Suck harder.
Mm.
If my sister want a R&B contract, she don't have to go that route because she under God. She got brothers there. She won't understand that.
She knows better.
You know what I mean? She knows better than that. So she won't go there. So you can't talk to her that. When you talk to that sister, your mannerism changes. And that's what happened to us. Gangsters, drug dealers, you know what I'm saying? Perverted, disgusting bastards. When they talk to us, their mannerism change.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? Because there's a certain spirit that you have to address us. How? You know what I mean? That's what we teach. You know what I mean? Your mannerism change.
And that's what happens when you have the standards of these laws, statutes, and commandments. You have a nation that's built on, we don't play these games. We don't play these games. We don't allow our women to act these ways. We raise women who would never think of acting in these ways, and we protect them, and we protect each other, and we are a nation ready for war. Brother?
Scriptural conversation. I'm wondering if anybody else knows. The press conference that was held by one of the parents of another woman.
Okay.
From a hostile meeting.
Right.
It's coming at you. We haven't heard from another woman's talk. He's like standing in the bed.
Oh yeah, it was the mother doing most of the speaking, right?
I think. Well, I know
all the speaking, yeah.
And he was. I'm not trying to quote one of the family now, but
no, absolutely. Yeah.
Tears. She gave off the image. She's standing there trying to fight back tears.
Mm-hmm.
Like she got her boxing guard up, taking on this hostile meeting. Yeah. She knows it's going to come at her.
Yeah. Like she's the one holding the family down.
Right.
Which is the backwards situation that we're in. That's the image that they love to push. They wouldn't even know what to do or what to say if they saw a strong black father figure move to the front and speak on a situation like that. They would cut that feed with the things that brother would say. They would cut the whole feed. They wouldn't broadcast what that man would say. Yeah, and that was just a tiny moment. Just a tiny moment, but that's the spirit of a man that's protecting it, that's raising his daughters to be, and I hate to use them as an example because you see how which one is it that married the white boy? You see how she turned out.
Destroy that strong man. Remember?
Yeah, they
destroyed the strong man,
right?
And made nobody destroy his house, destroy it. That's what happened. He was a strong man, so they had to destroy him. Because when he wasn't destroyed, what happened?
Yeah,
they was protected. Really did. They had braids. They was dark skin. Oh, the chocolate. The chocolate is my downfall. The chocolate is my downfall.
Oh,
you know what I mean? They had the braids. They was chilling.
Yeah.
Making all the monies. All the monies. Mm-hmm. All the money. Beating all the white women. Beat them all of them. Free women. They was free women. Then they end up, something happened to the father, they end up going left. Remember, just because, just because you're my daughter, that don't mean that you're going to be loyal to.
Yeah. They had to make sure that at least one of them was going to take all that fame and all those riches and get right up under some white man. They had to make sure of that. But to tie it all back, Easter, the fake holiday pushed by the Catholic Church, is just for getting freaky. And it's underlying why they're able to push the things that they push through the earth, right? These so-called priests are out there every Sunday reading about Easter. They just did the Easter service yesterday. Everybody put on their best suits. And right after they got done molesting whoever they were molesting, they did the Easter service. And it has nothing to do with God. It has nothing to do with Christ. Easter, for anybody that hasn't caught up yet, is that a sister who said, that's why I love ISUPK? There you go. Right on time. Easter, for anybody that isn't caught up yet, is a pagan fertility festival. Is derived from a pagan fertility springtime festival. That's why we have the Easter eggs. That's why we have the Easter bunnies. That's why you spent your whole time growing up trying to figure out what the hell bunnies and eggs have to do with Jesus and why bunnies don't lay eggs, because these are all just symbols of fertility. Ishtar is a fertility goddess. Easter is just a sex festival. It's just hoping that everybody will get freaky. And because it came from the white man's pagan festivals, it's really just hoping that they can overcome their low fertility and low birth rates, because even their women don't even like it. Now, when you go into that history of how this became a part of so-called Christianity, it's all through the Catholic Church, of course. It's all through Constantine. If this is new to anybody, please go look it up. It's not hard to find. It's not hard to break down. Constantine took control, and through the Catholic Church, took away everything that is from our ancient culture and replaced it with everything pagan that he could find. From the winter solstice festival of Saturnalia that became Christmas, to the springtime fertility goddess of Ishtar that became Easter, to Sunday worship, everything pagan that could possibly replace everything Israelite was used. And that's why we now have this weird, confusing thing that's just a cover for the crime ring of the Catholic Church to keep molesting boys. And that's why it's so important to not have any compromise with this at all. Bible shot.
This Romans chapter 1, verse 22. It says, professing themselves to be wise, they became fools and changed the glory of the uncorruptible God into an image made like to corruptible man, and to birds, and to four-footed beasts, and creeping things.
And that's exactly it. And that's exactly, they changed, they took away everything that was righteous and everything that was godly and replaced it with just all the symbolism that they could find to cover it up, to shroud the actual meaning of these pagan festivals, of these rituals, these demonic rituals that have nothing to do with Christ. The beautiful thing is, if you're listening to this class, you know that all you got to do is go into the scriptures and it's all here. And when we had the closing of the Feast of Unleavened Bread last night, and we had the Sabbath service that goes with that, every High Holy Day, we read the entire 23rd chapter of Leviticus from the Hebrew. And that breaks down every High Holy Day, every feast day that was instituted from the beginning. The Passover, the Feast of Unleavened Bread, the Feast of Weeks, the Day of Atonement, the Feast of Tabernacles, the Memorial of the Blowing of the Trumpets. Everything is broken down in that chapter. And then we have a couple of other feast days that came up during the time of the Maccabees. We have Hanukkah, and we have Purim from the book of Esther, and that's it. And those are our scriptural days to observe and to celebrate. And we do it, and they have real meaning, and they tie in, and the meaning gets deeper as you get down into Christ. And it's that simple. And anybody that's trying to cover it up, they can't justify it. And the theme last night when we were breaking this all down was, I want this smoke. I've never seen Christians really try to battle us on Easter because you can't justify it with the scriptures. You can't justify. The next thing that we were going to go into is then they have something that they call Pentecost. But if you go into the scriptures, every time that you see Pentecost in the New Testament, that's just the Greek word for 50. And it's the 50th day when you go into Leviticus 23, breaks down the Feast of the Weeks. You count 50 days from the end of the Feast of Unleavened Bread, and then you have another holy convocation. And that's all it means whenever you see the word Pentecost in the New Testament. But if you go into the Christian church, if you go into the Catholic church, they'll be celebrating something they're calling Pentecost, and they'll have no concept of what it means. But all through the book of Acts and all through the New Testament, you see the apostles observing what is the Feast of the Weeks. And nothing ever changed. Nothing was ever done away with or replaced. But if you call yourself the Holy Father and you say that your word supersedes the Bible and nobody should question you, then the next thing you do is start abusing whoever you can abuse because no one will punish you. And that's why we're going into the history of this demon that just died today, Pope Francis, who will just be replaced by another demon until our people start waking up and walking out of the Catholic Church and opening these scriptures and finding our culture right here. And when y'all do it, we'll be waiting right here to break it down for you with love and patience, because we all had to do it once. I grew up in the Catholic Church when I was a kid. And damn near anybody that's from any northern tribe in New York started out as a kid going to the Catholic Church. And even if you went to the Baptist church, you went to the Catholic Church, because it's the same Sundays, the same communion, the same Christmas, the same Easter, the same everything. It just looks a little bit different. But let's see what else we can dig up on this demon Pope Francis. Bible shot.
This is Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 15. It says, they are banished in the works of error. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish.
That's beautiful. Read that again.
It says, Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 15.
Mm-hmm.
They are banished in the works of error. In the time of their visitation, they shall perish. That's
beautiful. Now, if you go up to verse 14 and start there.
Every man is brutish in his knowledge.
Meaning your own knowledge is brutish. It's just basic. It's not. Your knowledge has to come from the Lord. Keep going.
Every founder is confounded by the graven image.
So that's what this is talking about. Is about the graven image. Go ahead.
For his master image is falsehood.
So molten image, which molten is when you like melt down metal to shape it into something. So his molten image is falsehood. Go ahead.
And there is no breath in them.
There's no breath in those statues in the Catholic Church. That Virgin Mary sitting out front, there's no breath in her. There's no breath in any of these weird idols. You see, matter of fact, if you go and look anytime around Easter, you're going to see nonstop reels and videos of all these weird processions they have from the Catholic Church all over the world, where they'll go and carry around a huge statue or some like type of paper mache Mary or whatever, and just carry it through the streets. Did you see the ones from Spain that be going viral because they got the KKK style hats? Have you seen those? And they'll parade these joints through the streets, but there is no breath in them. They're falsehood. Go ahead. From 15.
And there is no breath in them.
There's no breath in them. Go ahead.
They are vanity.
They are vanity. Every graven image is vanity. It's meaningless. Go ahead.
In the works of error.
In the work of, it was error for you to create this statue of Mary and think that you can pray to it and get some type of blessing. Go ahead.
In the time of their visitation, they shall perish.
Which means the Lord is waiting for his time to visit everybody that makes these graven images and tells us to bow down and pray to them, the Lord is going to visit the Catholic Church, and they shall perish. And today we saw their leader perish, and they'll just lift up another leader. But the day is going to come when the Lord is going to wipe out the whole Catholic Church from the face of the earth, and the whole church will be history. And that will be a beautiful day. Kum Yasha. And we're going to keep running through this, because I'm going to keep, as much as I can fit into these last 10 minutes, we're going to see exactly how Pope Francis, the so-called kind, liberal, wonderful Pope Francis, who kissed people's feet and washed their feet and bent down and apologized to people and blessed everybody, we're going to see what was wrong with what he was hiding under those garments. Sir.
But you gotta understand why he was kissing. Remember, you know what I'm saying? The Catholic Church was built on pervertedness and pederasties, which, you know what I mean? What is the root word for pedophile? He's from the Roman Catholic Church. Roman, you know what I mean? The Romans came up with pederasties. Or you my apprentice. The apprentice was, you know what I'm saying, that man that's teaching, the person who's learning, that was his lover. That's what the Roman Catholic Church came out of. That was their philosophy. So you know what I mean? And Bob Kishar, if you could go, I think it's in Romans 1 and 26. Romans 1 and 26, who changed the God lie into the truth. Anyone got that? Read about Kishar.
Oh, 25.
25?
25, who changed the truth of God into a lie.
Yeah, right.
Romans chapter 1, verse 25.
Bruce. Young man Bruce. Read that about Kishar.
Book of Romans, chapter 1, verse 25. Who changed the truth of God into a lie and worship and serve the creature more than the creator, who is blessed forever.
So it says it right here. Who changed the truth of, who changed the truth of God unto a lie? Y'all see, you know what I'm saying? Y'all see that white Jesus everywhere. That's what the Pope did. Pope Francis, that just passed away. His ancestor. He didn't know, yo, listen up. I just read Revelations chapter 1, verse 13. I don't think we can worship this person right here because it's a lie. You know what I mean? This white Jesus looked like me. There's no white people in the Middle East during that time. He didn't do that. He didn't do that at all. He went along to get along because his ancestors built on what? You know what I'm saying? Unaliving, violation, and stealing, and lying. That's what they built on. So it says, who changed the truth of God unto a lie? That's how comfortable Donald Trump is. He's mad comfortable. He's so arrogant. You know what I'm saying? The oppressor, the so-called white man, is so arrogant that they got the gun complex. They would change a truth into a lie. That's the reason why your goddamn son can become your mother.
Exactly.
You know your daughter's more masculine than her father. In the white man's way. That's possible. You see it all day, every day. Ain't nobody going against that. Clearly, you can see that a woman, but how that woman can make, you know what I'm saying, make babies without a man?
Yeah.
I'm going to change God's truth into a lie on you, right in front of your goddamn face. And guess what you're going to do? Guess what Black Hispanics in America is going to do? Yes, sir. Because you said it. Because you said it. White man, you said it. So I'm going to believe that. I'm not going to believe, you know what I'm saying, those wetbacks.
Right.
Those redskins. They say, no, that's not what it is. I'm not going to believe them. Those, you know what I mean? Those spicks. I don't believe them. Those spicks say your mother gave birth to you. You know what I mean? But I'm going to believe that your father gave birth.
And that's the dangerous thing about this freak show called the Catholic Church. Every time they create this slow shift, like one of the things that they criticize him openly for, Pope Francis, was that he really pushed for the acceptance of the LGBTQ lifestyle, which you would have thought before that's the one thing that the Catholic Church you would have thought would stand firm on. But here he goes. He's going up and down through the earth telling everybody we got to ease up on them. We got to bless. We got to love them. He's blessing their marriages. He's doing everything else. And it's this shift, this slow shift that we really, it's the sinister aspect of how they cover up their misdeeds, because it all traces back to they're really just vile people creating a doctrine to allow them to be who they are.
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I forgot about this. The Catholic Church tried to say they rebuking that manifest destiny 2 years ago. The doctrine of manifest destiny.
After they took over the whole planet.
They said, we refuse that. But they got the money. 2 years ago, Pope Francis.
Yeah.
If anybody talk about the document of manifest destiny, look it up. Pope Francis 2 years ago in 2022. You know what I mean? 2020 slide.
Yeah. Because they already got.
Said that we refuse it, but he got the money.
They got all they needed out of it.
They got all the money.
Yeah.
They got all the money.
They got everything they needed out of that.
That's what, you know what I mean? If you get a chance, you know what I mean, Lord willing, you teach class, look that up. They try to refuse it. Doctrine of manifest destiny, when they say the Pope is allowed to to change so-called blacks, Hispanics, and Native American Indians to goddamn chairs. They got
everything they got everything they needed out of that. You want to say something, brother? Hit me.
Like you said, manifest destiny. You know, if they believe that manifest destiny, then they believe slavery, what we've been through throughout the time.
Absolutely.
Of the Atlantic slave trade is manifest destiny.
Absolutely.
They hold rulership as of today, supposed to them is manifest destiny. But I got a scripture for that. This Jeremiah chapter 10, verse 8. It says, but they are all together brutish and foolish.
That's right.
The stock is a doctrine of vanity.
Oh,
right.
There
you go.
Oh, no.
The stock is a doctrine of vanities, because it's vanity to put your faith in any object, in any stock, in any statue, like in the other scripture. It's vanity, but they can't. They've been selling it to our people for so long. They took advantage of our people and our vulnerability, and they've been selling their idols and everything else that they have. And before we wind down, we got to make the point, because we always break this down. General Muhammad has done incredible breakdowns on Luke 16, because when it really comes down to it, it's these Catholics that are at fault for this. It's these Catholics that enable this to continue. They have how many millions of followers? Let's look up how many active Catholics today, even after the church has dwindled for years and years. Let's see how many Catholics there are in the world today. There are approximately 1.4 billion Catholics in the world today. And they're the ones enabling this. Because one of the articles that I perused for this was an article saying that Pope Francis was the worst Pope ever. Now, they went over all the things that we just went over. And what they said was the worst thing that he did was to move away from the Latin Mass. That's the worst thing he did. Out of everything that we just talked about right now, the worst thing he did was to stop teaching in a dead language. And it shows that they don't care about people. They don't care about righteousness. They don't care about God. They just want something, a ritual that's going to make them feel good, that's going to make them feel like they're right with God. And when you go through Luke 16, we don't have time to read it right now, but the breakdown, General Muhammad's breakdowns are out there. Do it way better than I ever could. When you go through the parable of the unrighteous steward, the steward is lessening the debt, and the people are coming to him to have their debt lessened. And that's the role of the pastor in the Christian church, and it's the role of the Catholic Church. These people are satisfied to pay someone to tell them that their debt to God is lessened. And that's why they keep getting away with it. That's why you still have pastors out there hustling your grandma for every penny of her paycheck. That's why you still have Creflo Dollar out there getting donations for his $65 million jet. That's why you have Catholic priests molesting your kids and then showing up the next week and saying, well, Father O'Brien's gone now. Everything's okay. And now Father O'Brien just got transferred to Massachusetts. He's molesting somebody over there now. Yeah. It's because the people enable it. It's because our people are choosing not to be righteous. They're choosing to just want ritual, to want a pastor or a priest that makes them feel good. And that's where we at. And that's why we're going to go out week after week, Lord willing, and we are not going to shut up. And we can be the crazy niggas on the street all day long. That's fine. But we're going to teach these scriptures. We're going to tell our women to stop being hoes and degenerates, the men to stop being effeminate and drug dealers and whatever else. And we're going to speak against the so-called white man. We're going to speak against his philosophies, his ways, his nation, his empire, and everything else. And anyone who doesn't like it, you're just in the way. If you're pro-Catholic Church, you're anti-black. If you're pro-LGBT, you're anti-black. If you're pro-sexy red, you're anti-black. And if we don't learn from history, we're doomed to repeat it. Did you have anything else to say, sir?
Oh, no, I was going to wrap it, to let the people know that the priest and the prophet of ISUPK, we're gonna save Chinese people. We're gonna save white women, white young little boys to not get touched. That's what we're gonna do. We're gonna save them. We're gonna teach. You know what I mean? We're gonna protect those young white little boys.
That's the crazy
to
thing.
not get touched by the Catholic Church. That's what we're gonna say.
That's the crazy thing. We're just gonna put y'all in slavery, but we're not gonna abuse y'all like the Catholic Church does.
We're going to tell these other nations of people you're not allowed to violate your sisters and your little boys. That's what we're going to teach.
They're going to be safer in slavery under a righteous people than they are free under these freaks and perverts.
That's the reason why these people kiss our boots, because they know that we are righteous.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? They know, you know what I mean? That white woman who kissed our boots, we have saved that white woman's daughter from getting touched by her teacher. That's what we're doing. That's what we're doing. By the Pope. By the Pope. If she, you know what I'm saying, if she give all her money and give it to Priest and Commander Junior Johanna, you know what I'm saying, her son would not be touched by the goddamn Pope. That's, you know what I mean? Exactly. She don't understand it. She don't understand that right there. We gotta kiss our boots.
They're gonna understand
to do that.
They're gonna understand. You're gonna understand.
You know what I mean? That's just faith. You know we righteous, man. It's the law for this. We ain't gonna allow. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna allow porno industry. There's no. You know what I mean? We ain't gonna allow your daughter to be a porno star. Right. You're not allowed to do that in God's kingdom. That's what we're gonna teach white women, to not be a goddamn dog. You know what I mean? White women.
And that's sad, but that's facts. You're safer as slaves than you are free under these demonic people.
Your own nation.
Scripture let us know in Proverbs chapter 29 and 2. It says, when the righteous are in authority, the people rejoice. But when the wicked bear rule, the people mourn. And you know one thing, even though the rest of the nation going into servitude, even in our kingdom, we are righteous men. So they still will be better off in our kingdom than off in the kingdom that we in right now.
Exactly.
That's right.
And that's crazy, but
You
that's
wanna
so
tell-
true.
You want to tell Russia you cannot invade Ukraine. If you invade Ukraine, you will be stubble.
They're gonna be.
You understand?
Russia,
You understand that, Russia?
Russia's gonna have new
be stubble.
leaders.
You're not allowed to.
Russia's gonna have new leaders. Ain't gonna be no more Putin. Russia's gonna have niggas running Russia.
We're going to teach you not to invade your own kind. That's what we're going to teach you. Not to do that. You're not allowed to do so. Don't break from your, you know what I mean? Show brotherhood to Putin. Okay? Or Putin, show brotherhood. That's your people. But if you touch your people, we're going to destroy you. Now, come kiss the boots and give me your money. Bring the offerings to Yasha Allah. That's what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to be focused on bringing all, you know what I'm saying, all the good stuff that's in your country to Yasha Allah.
And that's it.
That's what you're supposed to be focused on. Are you ready for the Passover? Are you ready to be, you know what I'm saying, for the Day of Atonement? Are you ready for that, Putin? No. Underline 50,000, maybe 100,000 his entire family. Maybe he's gonna get the lesson.
That's it. And if I could,
focus on invading somebody, but focus on the Most High God and bringing all his money to blacks and Hispanics and Americans. That's what he's supposed to be focused on.
that's it.
Give me all your money.
And if I could,
That's it. That's what you're supposed to be focused on. Don't focus on fighting with your own nation. Focus on giving us all your money. That's what you're supposed to be focused on.
and so we're gonna finish out on Isaiah 14 because that's what that scripture made me think of. From verse 5, the Lord hath broken the staff of the wicked and the scepter of the rulers.
That's right.
He who smote the people in wrath with a continual stroke. That's the so-called white man. He that ruled the nations in anger is persecuted, and none hindereth. The whole earth is at rest and is quiet. They break forth into singing. This is what the world is going to be like when this man goes down. Verse 8, yea, the fir trees rejoice at thee, and the cedars of Lebanon, saying, since thou art laid down, no feller is come up against us. So the scripture says even the trees are going to rejoice when this man goes down. And that's the beauty. That's the beauty of this. This, when we are in rulership, everything will be right through the earth. This man got to go because when this man is ruling, we got Pope Francis is moving child molesting priests around like chess pieces. This man got to go. This demonic empire got to go. And the kingdom of Christ and the Israelites ruling got to come.
If I may, you know what I mean? And I know this will be the last, but I know you're going to probably start. Just to let you know that I just did a research on beavers. Our oppressors, they exterminated all the goddamn beavers. All the beavers. The beavers, you know what the beavers is good for? The land? They make ponds. You know what I mean? They make ponds, like, you know what I mean? Because they build dams. You know what I'm saying? When they build a dam, all, you know what I'm saying, everything around that dam flourished. That did not have trees, bushes, and so on and so on. Do you know there was dams running through Arizona before the white man came along? It was beavers there.
Yeah.
They had destroyed the beaver population. That's why Arizona looked like the way it looked.
Yeah.
You know what they did in 2009? Our oppressor realized, oh man, we damn near kill all the beavers. The beaver was doing this. They put the beavers back into Arizona. Now they got flourishing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Trees and stuff in Arizona. Water is coming through.
Yeah.
But our oppressor, the reason why they almost killed all the beavers in these Americas, for money.
That's it.
For the money.
That's it. But this white man is the devil, and he destroys the earth as he rampages through it. And when he goes down, the trees are going to even rejoice because he's not there to chop them down. And with that, I'm gonna pass the class over to Priest Officer Paratazar.
All right, clap it up for the class. All right, Christ. ISUPK security announcements. Here we go. We are the ISUPK, start off at 1 West, 125th Street, Harlem, New York, room for new brother or sister. When a new brother or sister comes into the school, they are off limit for 6 months. They are to be saluted only. They are here to share themselves up of the world. If they need transportation, the teacher will arrange it. After 6 months, if a brother or sister have an interest in a particular person, he or she must get permission to talk to a brother or sister. There is another 6 months in which the brother and sister will court each other. After this 6 month period, the brother and sister will get permission from the head to marry, tithe, which is a commandment. Numbers chapter 18, verse 21. Malachi chapter 3, verse 8 through 10. I mean, 10 in the Hebrew, 10% of every penny of any increase the Most High give you is the Treasury Department or teacher. Priest fund, free will offering for priests, not mandatory. Whatsoever amount you would like. Alcohol with convocation. Oh, yeah.
The next one will be the Feast of the Weeks. I don't have the exact date.
Oh, all right. You know what I mean? Go to ISUPK.com, scroll down, and look for the upcoming holy convocation. It will be the Feast of the Weeks. If anyone wants to be a trooper in the school, to start wearing all black boots, shirts, pants, headband, and scarf. And with that, men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute. Men of Israel module, which means to stand. Men of Israel, Aman Shabbat, module. Men of Israel, we're going to give one courtesy salute to the sisters that's in the chat. Men of Israel, Aman Shabbat, Aman Barak, Ayawish, Yasmatal, class dismissed.